Scarlett was found abandoned on a church doorstep in the small town of Priapel, just west of Baldur's Gate, and received her name from Mother Ione and the rest of the clergy because of her hair colour. While growing up, she showed great promise of becoming a cleric and follower of Pelor, never hesitating to help as many of the citizens of Priapel as she could, expressing a deep sense of justice and equality, as well as a great fondness for animals. As a young child, she also learned to speak Dwarvish from Durotar Onyxhead, a travelling dwarven merchant whom she befriended as he passed through town several times each month, offering goods from all over Faire. He was surprised at how quickly Scarlett picked up the language, and as the years went on, they became the deepest of friends, and he would often bring her little trinkets from his travels, things that would make her eyes sparkle. It was when she was around the age of 20 that the revered mother, along with Durotar, encouraged her to go out into the world and find her destiny, and potentially also to find her real family. They, along with the clergy that had raised her, could all see that Scarlett was bound for something more than settling in a small town like theirs, although Scarlett herself did not agree with them, thinking that she could accomplish far more by staying in Priapel. Eventually, however, they managed to convince her to explore the wider world, and on the day of her departure, they gifted her an ornate charm bracelet with a golden heart at the bottom, and with several small animals symbolising her love for them surrounding it. It was after around 2 or 3 weeks of travel, and after having stopped at numerous small villages along the way to lend aid to the inhabitants where she could, that Scarlett passed near the Way Inn. It was here where the still naive young woman ended up falling head over heels for what she thought was her true love, a stranger with dashing good looks, golden blonde hair, and what she considered a charming personality, a man who called himself Faire. Her heart would leap in her chest whenever they met over the next several days, until, one night after she had fallen asleep at his side, he made off with the charm bracelet that Mother Ione and Durotar had spent much of their own savings on making for her. She awoke the next morning by herself in bed, heartbroken, but what she discovered several days later broke her even more. While on her way to Daggerford, she came across a familiar-looking merchant caravan. Scarlett decided to approach them to see if they had some items available to meet her needs as a cleric. For some reason, something felt as if it was holding her back at first, but she pushed on. As she drew closer, she noticed they were in mourning for one of their fallen, and as she rounded one of the wagons and everything came into full view, the sight made her fall to her knees, hands covering her mouth as she began sobbing bitter tears. There, on the funeral pyre, was her long-time friend, Durotar Onyxhead. With a heavy heart, she performed her dear friend's funeral rites to help expedite his safe passage into the afterlife, singing a dwarven hymn that he had taught her when she was younger. After the burning of Durotar's body, one of the other merchants noticed that Scarlett did not wear the bracelet she had been given upon leaving Priapel little more than a month earlier. When they asked where it was, Scarlett explained that it was taken from her by someone she thought cared about her deeply, but had been mistaken. It was then that the merchant revealed that the bracelet had been magically infused with a piece of Durotar's own heart, so that he could watch over and protect her in spirit while on her travels. This news broke the once smiling, sweet girl into pieces, and Scarlett realised that this meant Durotar's sudden death was linked to the bracelet's well-being, indicating that either the magic had been siphoned from it, or that it had been destroyed in some manner. As she felt her life shattering from that sudden realisation, she had another panicked thought. Were Mother Ione and the rest of the clergy all right, or had they too suffered the same death? Scarlett let out a howl of pain, bursting into fresh tears of anguish and grief, and, as she stared at the unforgiving sky above her, she vowed to bring Faire to justice, if it were the last thing she would ever accomplish on this mortal plane. Her outburst caught the attention of a male fighter who had been hired to protect the merchant caravan. Dressed in heavy armour, covered by a long dark cloak, the man heard her tale and promised to train Scarlett in the ways of a fighter. He clearly wished to keep his identity unknown for some reason, however, never once revealing his name to her in all their travels, though he did keep his word, and during the following months he put her through a rigorous training regimen as the pair protected the merchant band on their travels, all the while also searching for clues and attempting to find Faire. Eventually the caravan found its way back to Priapur, and the first thing Scarlett did on arrival was to rush to the church that had raised her, bursting through the door in a breathless frenzy. The clergy inside turned to see who had so abruptly entered, and were shocked to see Scarlett standing there, clad in chainmail armour, her bright smile replaced by a fierce scowl. When she asked them about Mother Ione, their heads dropped, and they told her she had suddenly passed months prior. Once again tears welled in Scarlett's eyes at the news, and she did her best to explain the connection of the revered mother's death and that of Durita, and the loss of her charm bracelet to them. The clergy was left in shock from the sudden news, and when they asked her what she was going to do, Scarlett informed them that she was in pursuit of the person responsible so that she could bring him to justice. As Scarlett was about to leave, the new revered mother, one of her closest friends from her youth growing up in Priapur, stopped her. She informed Scarlett that they had heard rumours that her family was potentially still alive. To the revered mother's shock, Scarlett impassively shrugged, saying only,
"This is interesting news indeed. But my current objective is to find and bring Faire to justice. Everything else will have to wait."
As she walked out of the church, the clergy was filled with sorrow, for they realised then that the formerly joyfully spirited Scarlett was gone forever. Scarlett decided to head for Waterdeep with her instructor after he informed her that it could potentially hold some secrets to her quest. After parting ways with him upon arrival, she heard about the Northward incident and saw wanted posters for the members of an adventuring party known as Kokuhaku et al. One of her eyebrows raised and began to twitch when she got closer to the posters. There, on a piece of parchment, amid the likenesses of all the members of that party, was one of Faire himself. She quickly made her way to the destroyed part of the North Ward in search of clues, poster in hand, and after some time searching for clues amongst all the rubble, she found Faire's hat. It was true he was there, and part of the events that led to the North Ward's destruction. She finally had a large lead on Faire's whereabouts. She was one step closer to the man who had not only broken her heart, but had caused the death of not just her best friend, but also one of the most important people that had raised her as a child. Scarlett decided to stay in Waterdeep to search for more rumours and clues to the location of this Kokuhaku et al, and being especially on the lookout for Faire. 6 long, agonising months of taking minor jobs, chasing rumours followed, and all the while the hunt for the bard grew colder and colder once again. Then one day, as Scarlett was making her way through the trade ward and passing in front of Felzoon's Folly, she spotted a man wearing a blue hat and long trench coat entering the tavern. In a sudden split-second decision, she followed him and once inside quickly closed in on the figure, placing her hand firmly upon his shoulder. Unfortunately, after a brief exchange, she discovered that the man she had pursued into the tavern was not Faire, but Fialan Shadowfoot, a former Waterdavian guard turned detective. Just as she began to excuse herself and prepared to leave, Fialan stopped her and invited her over to his table. After taking a seat at the table, she met the enigmatic Verbran Fielder, and Fialan informed the pair about the strange disappearances in Mistshore Cove. Something in the story of what was happening in the small fishing village tugged at her deep sense of justice, and Scarlett readily agreed to join the group Fialan was forming to investigate the mystery without hesitation. A group who would later be known as Noir Party Contingency.
Hey, whoa. There's more to this story than you think. Here's my side. It all started because of a wizard named Viavara.
Oh, Faire.
Yes?
Give me your hat.
Nani? Hey, what do you mean, my hat? You've got 2 of them already!
All your hats belong to me. Give me your hat.
Oh.
Victory! She is mine.